What do you think?
This is like the most intimidated that I've ever been sitting down for an interview. I just have to be honest. Yeah, but I'm curious, how did you feel around each other when you first met? Were you intimidated to meet Harrison and act alongside him?
I felt like I had a partner that when we started acting together. I mean, I knew his work. I'd met him a couple of times, but very briefly. And I was really, it was a pleasure to work with him. It was easy.
Yeah.
There was a great deal of expectation and, anticipation for sure. But we were all immediately put at ease because we just felt like we had our greatest partner had just arrived. Yeah. And, we had the keys to this thing and we were hoping that we were doing right by it, but it was a relief when Harrison got there because we knew, we felt like we were finally making Blade Runner, and he's made so many incredible films that it was an opportunity for us to have access to that. He's as talented as he is experienced.
Yeah. The first Blade Runner is showing at Cinerama in Seattle the week leading up to this. I had tickets on a Tuesday night. So many people are thrilled to see them back to back. Do you feel like this is a sequel? Does this fit your definition?
Yeah, and a fitting one, but I'd like to say that it's also a standalone film, and that you don't really need to see. I would appreciate it if you would go to see the first one, because I think it's great if you do, but if you don't, this film stands alone. You won't be lost in it without having experienced the first film.
You had recently called making that first film a long slog, I think were your words.
Yeah.
What words would you choose to describe making this film?
Walk in the park. That was, first of all, we shot 50 nights in the rain on the back lot of Warner Brothers, and it turned a lot of people into vampires, me among them. And it was a hard movie to make. This was more civilized, just slightly more civilized.
And you? Adjective?
I don't know, but it was a really special experience for me because obviously I have a history with the film as a fan, and then to be able to enter that universe and to have partners like Harrison and Roger Deakins, Denis Villeneuve, to have Hampton Fancher, having been one of the originals to write this as well. It was, it's in some cases you're trying to make things. You pull things out of a script that aren't there, but with this, the world was so massive that conceptually it was so interesting, right. But then at the same time there's very intimate, human, emotional stories within it, so there was a scope to it that was new to me and exciting to be a part of.
Plus a functional spinner, which is like the coolest thing ever. Forgive me the rap, but
right.
Did you drive it? Did you get to drive it like when you weren't?
Yeah, it didn't fly though.
No?
Did they tell you it did?
Oh, yeah, they did.
Oh.
What a bold lie. I have to tell you something that you might hate, but I have to tell you because I've been waiting all these years.
Oh, no.
I used to watch Santa Barbara every day when I would get home from school. And I loved you from then on. So thanks for Santa Barbara.
Look at you.
Do you hate that? Do you hate if someone recognizes
I'm just
is that okay?
surprised that you're still like watching stuff that I do. Like what? You should have been tapped out of that.
I know. How old were you when you did that show?
Oh my gosh, I think I was 19.
What would you tell?
The ingenue.
Yes.
Right? Wasn't that the category? The ingenue.
What would you tell that version of yourself now? Is there any advice you would have told her back then?
Yeah, no more big hair. That was some 80s hair, right?
I feel like that is advice we could all give ourselves at some point. Your character in this film is fascinating because I don't know if I'm supposed to like her or not. Do you like her?
You always have to like your characters that you play.
Would you be
as venal
friends
as
with
they
her?
can be?
Okay.
You have to love them. She's got a job. She's got to keep order in this new world, this new futuristic world. Because if you don't keep order, another movement could take over
Right.
humanity.
Interesting. There's so much we can't talk about this movie, but I feel like we can, in general terms, talk about how prescient many of the themes are
Very much so.
currently.
Yeah.
But it doesn't whack you over the head with them.
No, true. It's multi-layered, it's thought-provoking, but really, the sensitivity, the vulnerability in it that Denis Villeneuve brings, I think, as a director, is that delicate balance between humanity and technology and how you want to hold on to connection and maintain love, how we know it today.
Right. And it does bring up this question that any thought about AI brings up, which is what is truly human, what is humanity? What is your definition? Because sometimes I look at humans and I'm like, you're not a very good human. So what would your definition be of what makes someone human?
Well, if you want to pick, descriptive words, humility and standing for something. So can you stand for something if you're genetically engineered? That's the question, right? Of the future.
The sets in this film we can talk about because we see some of them in the trailer. Were they as extraordinary as they seem like they would be given that they were practical?
Yes. Stunning. The art direction, the sound design of this movie, the special effects, the sets, the lighting. It's an incredible piece of film.
And very intense. I mean, it flies by. It's a long film, but it literally flies by. And I'm kind of like this the whole time watching it. When you are shooting these scenes, which are, all of your scenes are quite intense, is there ever what's happening in between takes? Is there laughter? Is there levity? Does there need to be?
Complete levity, yeah. Ryan's very funny. He's very goofy and silly and such a sweetheart.
Yeah.
Great to work with.
Is this a sequel?
No, this film stands unto itself. And I wish I could say why, but you just have to see it. That's why they waited 30 years. They wanted to wait and make sure the story was relevant.
Have you ever worked on any project with this much secrecy, where I feel like we should be pantomiming or something to talk about this film, because we don't want to ruin it for anybody.
I know. I think that's becoming the world today, just with all the hackers and the, everything's digitally accessible, and they're going to steal the high security. We have to, it's cognitive speech. We have to relearn how to talk about something. I think that's our job.
Yeah. You had makeup in this movie, but it was different than your Guardians makeup. How much did they age you in this film?
They aged me, so we never, decided on an actual age, but we discussed that it was somewhere in 60s.
Okay.
Which I thought was really believable. I mean,
totally believable.
Yeah, I loved it. It was really cool, kind of. It was cool and it was scary at the same time. I think there was, times because I plucked some of my hairs out and I don't have very thick hair to begin with, but I wanted it to look even more balding, and but I had to walk around like that for a month, and it made me a little bit self-conscious, but at the same time I just loved that character, and that's what I am. I'm a character actor, so I loved being able to pull that off and be believable as that older guy.
Plus, it could be a glimpse into your future. Now you know what you'll look like.
That's what my wife said. She was not at all unhappy. She saw pics, and I thought that she was going to be a little bit upset, but she actually wasn't. She was like, and she did. She said, "Yeah, I can work with that."
There is so much we can't talk about where this film is concerned. We don't want to talk about because it should just be this new experience. But I think it's clear that you and Ryan have a fight scene.
Yes, we do.
What was that like? Because I feel like having a fight scene with you would be intimidating to any mere mortal. Was it? And do you feel like you have to be gentle with someone who doesn't have a background?
No, not at all. It's for one thing. I think if you spend 2 seconds with me, I'm not an intimidating person. And with him, it's and also coming from a professional wrestling background. I mean, that's what we did. We took care of each other. It was always a dance, and if you hurt somebody, you weren't working, and if you hurt somebody, they weren't working, and they couldn't feed their families. So that's what we did. We took care of each other. So I never, that's something I was very comfortable with, and I don't think Ryan at all ever even gave that a second, thought that I would actually hurt him. So no, it was very much a collaboration. It was a well thought out and very safe fight scene, although it looked very violent and destructive. But no, we put a lot of thought into it, and we wanted it to make sense. And we also wanted it to lose sight of the physical differences in size. And I think we accomplished that.
So now you can say you have danced with Ryan Gosling, technically
I
speaking.
have.
I also want to mention these standalone short films
Right.
that were produced in conjunction with this, because you are the star of one of those.
Yeah.
I am fascinated by it. I thought that in and of itself was amazing. Do
Yeah.
you feel like audiences should go watch those before
Oh, for
they see
sure,
this?
absolutely. Because it's really interesting. There, there's a lot that happened in the 30 years, and it really gives you some good insight on these characters that you'll see in the film, and it just makes it, it's not going to be a difficult thing to process this film and put it together and have it make sense, because it's such a well-told story. But if you have some of that background, you're just more emotionally invested in the characters, and you know them better, and everything, it just clicks a little bit more. You're already kind of emotionally involved before you even sit down in that theater seat. So I really think that was a brilliant idea for them to do, and I was honored and actually surprised that they wanted me to do one, because I just wasn't, because it's a huge cast, man.
Yeah.
And I wasn't expecting to be one of those guys that was featured. Yeah.
These interviews, I'm sure you've heard this from everybody today, but they're very difficult to do because there's so little that we should be talking about.
Yeah.
So we could just sit here and stare at each other for 3 minutes.
Okay.
But
Can we make it more difficult?
Yes,
Like,
make it more difficult. But I think that that's a part of it, is the secrecy surrounding this film. And was it happening, I assume it was happening while you were shooting as well.
Yeah.
So what was that like? I mean, visually, did you see that there were people around trying to keep people away, or how did that secrecy work?
Well, I think it started at the beginning, when we got the part, we got a link
Well,
that lasted for 24 hours.
Oh,
you
to the
remember?
script,
To
yeah.
the script. And then it disappeared again.
And you could never have the script open and then have another
At
window open
different
too.
devices,
Constantly.
yeah, it was very, very. Even the audition process, we didn't know anything about the script or the characters, so it was kind of very intuitive. I'm just doing this single scene, isolated from anything else.
Yeah.
We don't know what's
that's
going on.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
You did all end up having your own special relationship with Ryan Gosling during the course of this movie. Can you describe it in a way that won't be giving away any spoilers about the exact relationship that you have with him?
Well, not in a way that would be interesting.
That's a pretty good tease,
We
actually.
meet
Yeah.
and then don't for a while, but then we do again, and then again nothing, but then again we are.
I think that passes the test. I think you can say
Yeah. Should I do kind of the same?
Yeah.
We knew each other.
yes. You know each other
We
well.
still meet.
Yes.
When we start the movie, we already know each other.
Yes.
But then we don't, and then we don't know.
And you guys meet, but it's not in a. I mean, I feel like people can watch the trailers and know that your character isn't sweet as pie.
No, she's
She's
terrible.
not? I thought she was really, really sweet.
Oh, maybe I misread what you were going for.
No. Well, I think she has a couple of personal goals that don't lie, it was wonderful actually. I had a lot of fun playing my character, because she has a lot of depth to her, and she has inner conflicts, but she has a sense of humor, and she's like a fashionista,
Yeah, she is
I had
a
fun,
Yeah.
But do you
different
like Ryan
styles.
or no?
I like Ryan a lot.
In real life.
Yeah.
Officer
In
K.
real life.
Officer K.
Yeah, exactly.
For real.
Exactly. Some other reporters and I were discussing this last night. Is Blade Runner 2049 a sequel or not?
Yeah.
Is it?
Well, it is the same universe, and yeah, where it's a continuation of those events 30 years ago, but it is also a separate movie. You don't
Yeah.
really need to have seen the first movie to understand or empathize with these characters. It's a completely new story, but it's still Blade Runner, It's
No, it's nice because it's its own movie and operates as its own movie without having seen the original. But for those that have seen the original, there's like a through line and a continuity, and you see the way that world has progressed and the next phases of the sort of chaos that was established in that world.
And the kind of films that Denis makes, that's what really makes this one different from, you know, Denis and Ridley are very different directors.
Yeah.
But, you know, he's an author. Is that how you call it? Like
an auteur?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's more intimate and very into the characters and very specific. And it's a, you know, it's a great combination between the thriller, futuristic science fiction movie and Denis films.
Right,
So,
right. Is it a blessing or a burden to know that you are continuing this story that is, for so many people, sacred, right? I mean, people literally study Blade Runner in college, and you know,
it's really exciting.
It's a blessing.
I think everyone felt like a sort of a weight in our shoulders, and you know, that question is asked a lot, I guess, you know, when we talk about the movie, but we really felt like I felt very safe in Denis' hands, because you know, not only talking about Blade Runner, but like you said, Anna, like it's definitely a Denis Villeneuve film, and I think we all were very blessed, you know, to be in his hands and felt safe to be vulnerable and get the best out of ourselves. So.
I think we are allowed to talk about the sets and the practicality of this movie. What was it like? I mean, I know as an audience member watching it on the screen, it was so immersive and incredible to see these things. What was it like for you to walk up and see what was created in front of you the first time?
It felt like that being in the sets. Most things that you work on, there's, you know, the invisible fourth wall, and that's where the camera is, and you can engage with some stuff, but it feels like a bit fake, but it shoots really nice.
Yeah.
The whole world, I mean, Kay's apartment, Officer Kay's apartment, Ryan's character is like everything you can touch and open, and there's stuff in the shelves, and if you look out the window, it's not like a flat
no, the
screen
building, the building across the street was real.
And
we had
small
neighbors.
people in it. The whole thing
apartments,
was incredible. It was the most immersive world I've ever been a part of.
Yeah, very, very like important. I felt, you know, if you do a futuristic movie, you can do all research you want, but you're never going to find how people lived and you know, actually were in that time. So for us to step on set and actually feel and understand the language of this Blade Runner movie is very, very important for me to be able to add on to what they were, you know, engineer, like the world that they were making.
It's just very different to look at a tennis ball or look at Ryan's eyes. You know,
One wouldn't think it
like
would be,
that.
and yet it is. Right.
It's like, thank God we had all those. It was a great playground. Like we could do anything we wanted.
Right.
It was,
Well, congratulations. Stunning. So amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.